Worldwide interest in the election of the Pope exploded with the Oscar-winning film Conclave. Its fictional portrayal of the secrecy and politicking of the powerful men in the Vatican has captivated the public, even though some question its accuracy.
If you want to defeat Tedesco...
This is a conclave, Aldo. It's not a war.
It is a war, and you have to commit to a side.
The conclave is portrayed as a fierce competition and makes for compelling viewing. But few in the church would describe the conclave as a war like we see here.
The Pope is dead, girl, so we are all coming over.
Hey, are you free to chat?
The event has also taken off on social media, spawning many memes and memorable moments.
We got a brand new season of the Pope games coming out.
But what really happened in Rome? Geraldine, Doogue and I, both practicing Catholics, were there for compass to witness the conclave.
Hello, I'm Geraldine Doogue, here in Rome to cover the papal conclave with my colleague, Noel Debien.
And just like the movie Conclave, the Cardinals are, of course, gathering, and we're hearing all sorts of leaks coming out of those general congregations, which show the drama of Conclave is not too far off.
With the death of Pope Francis in April, Catholics descend on Rome to grieve, including cardinals from around the world. 133 of these men, no women, are responsible for electing the next leader of the Catholic Church. Also here in Rome are thousands of Catholics and non-Catholics watching the drama play out.
What sort of Pope I'm hoping for? So as a Brazilian, I can't give another answer. I have to say that I'm hoping for a Pope from Brazil, because it's where I'm from.
Siamo emozionati perché aspettiamo il risultato, sperando che sia rapido, così vediamo subito la fumata bianca.
Mi sento bene, sono fiduciosa che lo Spirito Santo illuminerà i cardinali.
Everything human is also social, everything social is also political. And therefore, where a big organisation like the Catholic Church goes is a big question. It will influence a lot of people and a lot of states and a lot of countries.
Every pope comes from a particular context, a particular time, and things indeed can change. In reality, they bring new energies, new insights.
Good morning. How are the discussions working? How are they running?
Good morning. The Lord is good.
As the cardinals prepare for the conclave in a secret ballot to choose the next pope, the world's media is hungry for information.
Do you think it'll be a long conclave? How is the level of agreement? Ask God.
Mais non, on se sent pas prêt. Bien sûr que non, on ne se sent pas prêt.
Pourquoi?
Parce qu'on doit découvrir celui que le Seigneur a déjà choisi.
No pope is perfect. No one is able to do everything. So we will find the best person to succeed.
Now, between 9 and 1 every day over there in the Bishop's Synod Hall, there are the formal exchanges where they discuss the state of the Church. But it's actually out here in the streets with all the people that the informal, intense, subtle exchanges take place, trying to influence the nature of the vote. Now, some say it's really a battle for the soul of the Church, whether it'll continue in the Francis style, sort of opening up, whether it'll become more closed on its traditions, or whether it'll be something in between, a sort of steady as she goes. Either way, the world will notice the difference.
Francis was a man who reached out to all corners of the world, with cardinals now hailing from 94 different countries. Significantly, he also appointed 80% of those now voting for his successor. Australia's only cardinal and contender in the vote is Mykola Bychok, a bishop from the Ukrainian Catholic Church based in Melbourne. At 45 years of age, he's the youngest cardinal here and a surprise pick. The conflict in Ukraine, the backdrop to his appointment.
To say yes in this call, it was very challenging time for me. And maybe what is happening in Ukraine, that was the only reason that I said yes.
He has a very particular sort of responsibility in these days, because he's the youngest cardinal in the world. So he, to some extent, he'll be living. He also comes from a country that is at war and that has many challenges. So I think he's going to bring a very particular insights to the conclave, and which he'll be sharing with his brother cardinals.
It was difficult to understand for many people, for many Catholics, what happened. It was difficult to understand for me personally and to accept this call and this appointment. God works in mysterious ways. So I trust God, and I think during next few weeks we will be showing that actually not cardinals are electing new pope, but Holy Spirit through cardinals. We are just instruments.
As the papal succession process begins, Francis's ring and papal seal are destroyed in a symbolic act. A lot of these cardinals have never met. Many don't know each other, and some don't even speak the same language. Reports are that name tags are being worn and information booklets distributed to help them understand each other.
If you think about Cardinal Mykola, for example, he's only been a cardinal since October last year. He won't have had a chance to meet too many of the others. So they're going to need time to get to know each other so that they can make a wise choice. The cardinals are all meeting to share with each other their views on the church and what the challenges and what the opportunities are. So it's possible that out of that, someone will emerge who stands out in the minds of the majority of the cardinals.
Also in Rome is Dr. Maeve Heaney, who works with Queensland priests in training. She has met Pope Francis and now sees challenges for the path ahead.
The Catholic Church is huge. It's a big ship. I'm praying we'll hold together communion. I'm praying we'll calm down and listen to one another. It's hard to listen to people who you don't agree with. But we have to listen to people that we don't agree with, because there's light there that I might not have, and if I don't listen, I won't get. So I think we're watching all of that unfolding, and I'm praying that we'll be our better selves.
Are you hearing anything that gives you some sense of who the next man might be?
My hope is that we find capable hands to move it forward. The issue of women is a big one for me. Pope Francis named women and put them into spaces. He didn't change doctrine, he didn't change anything. Like, lots of people would have liked him to have done more. But in terms of credibility and witness of God being for everybody, it's really important that that continues. So I'm hoping that we get people who can move that forward.
A lot of the real work is underway in these pre-conclaves every day, and we're hearing quite a lot from them, actually, more than we would have expected, particularly about some anger, overt anger being expressed towards Francis, particularly from people from the United States and from Germany, forcing, of course, his defenders to come back and put another case. All it means is the contest is really quite wide open. The obvious favourites don't seem to be doing terribly well, so there's a lot to come.
I think that's the difference between the politician and the state man or the state woman. That is the big question. And one of the reasons why I think the memory of Pope Francis is cherished today is that we possibly do not live in an era of great leaders. And I think people did see somebody who was committed to his mission. Popes have the advantage of only having to go through one election.
Have a good afternoon. Good afternoon.
The media scrum is intensifying daily, adding to the drama. with journalists and cameras encircling every cardinal moving in and out of the Vatican.
How are you feeling, Eminence?
Have you seen the Australian cardinal inside?
Now, it's really quite funny. They sort of pour out the cardinals, and you know they're cardinals because of their dress, and suddenly the press absolutely swarms like bees around a honeypot. Very funny to watch, actually.
You don't think so?
Yeah.
How come?
Because what we are talking about is only about how the church should be, like what we have been doing, this synodality. The synodality is a must right now, so everybody is taking that way. So it's not. There is no space for the politics right now.
Australian bishop is there.
He is there.
You say, oh, good. We haven't seen him yet. That's all. We were getting worried. No. He's all right. Okay.
So how are you finding it all?
Well, it's fascinating to be in such an international meeting, people from all over the world.
Yes.
And you really get a sense of a church which is truly global and fascinating. More, I think, than ever before.
Really?
And that's a great gift of Francis to us.
It doesn't make it sort of impossible, do you know what I mean, to have all of these different cultures and different tendencies?
The church is like that. When I was master of the Dominican Order, we had 14 on the General Council from 14 nationalities, 5 continents, including somebody from Australia.
Including somebody.
For a moment there, it seemed Donald Trump imagined he might be Pope. An AI-generated image of the president was posted on the White House X account, offending many Catholics. It was a reminder of how much influence conservative American church members have tried to exert on this process.
Well, I think the American church has an awful lot of politics involved. You know, Steve Bannon and that MAGA group are they're out there. But I think it's more in the line of creating chaos than actually creating some level of movement within the church. The American church is not the biggest church on the face of the earth. And the voters from America are less than 15% of the conclave. So my personal opinion is it's not going to have a great effect.
I know that we're all wary of all of the movements that are coming out of the US right now, but it's also true that some of the best thinkers I know came out of the US in theology, so maybe it would influence something. I hope we get a prayerful man and a free man, if that makes capable of saying, okay, I'm going to carry this and move it forward. I don't think we'll get someone who goes, we're going backwards. I don't think that will happen.
Comunque è sempre una grande emozione perché c'è una grande responsabilità verso la Chiesa.
The contest for this job can get very willing indeed. For instance, we've heard of a bunch of scurrilous Russian chatbots circulating, suggesting that Cardinal Conclave from the Philippines might have issues in his family about gambling. There's no evidence for this whatever, and what it suggests is that he is a genuine contender and that people are trying to besmirch his case. Having said that, the man who wins, history suggests, will be a man of genuine spirituality.
It is my first conclave. I've been in Rome for about 7 years now, so it's, even after 7 years, still full of boyhood wonder and charm and just this great sense of excitement.
It's a very humbling and spiritual experience. The thought that so many people, millions of people are here to witness the election of the next Holy Seer. We don't see this for any other religion, right? And so we have Christians, we have Catholics, we have non-Catholics here.
Well, sitting here enjoying a coffee in this glorious spring sunshine is what lots of men and women of the church are doing right now, trying to influence the course of events in this amazing election of all elections. Just don't call it lobbying. And just as the film Conclave showed, the pressure and the tension will rise ahead of the cardinals being formally locked down. Then, when will we see the white smoke? Now, I'll actually be back in Australia when that happens, but my colleague, Religion Affairs Specialist Noel Debien, will be here throughout. So, Noel, have a guess. How long will it take?
From the average, it's
3 days, so that's likely where it's going to go, because they've had a longer meeting in the general meetings of the cardinals, and so that tends to be more preparation, which means that the conclave will be shorter.
As the cardinals meet and confer ahead of the vote, the Sistine Chapel is prepared for the conclave. A chimney is erected on the roof. Black smoke for an unsuccessful vote. White smoke signals a new pope. The conclave is a secret vote. No phones, no communication with the outside world is permitted for as long as it takes. All must swear to an oath of secrecy about the proceedings.
Et ego Mykola Cardinalis Bychok spondeo voveo akiuro.
In the Sistine Chapel itself, they are in silence, they're in prayer. They are paranoid about making sure that there is no possibility of challenging the election of a pope. The counting is done in front of all the cardinals, and it's checked and double-checked and triple-checked.
No one leaves until a candidate gets a 2/3 majority and a new pope walks out. 89 votes are what is required. While speculation swirls around us, we track down an Australian Augustinian here in Rome, Father Tony Banks. He happens to be a close friend of one of the contenders, Robert Prevost.
Well, of course, at the moment we have a man who's part of the conclave, Cardinal Robert Prevost, who was our former Superior General.
At the time of this interview, we have no idea that Tony's friend Bob will win the conclave and become the next pope. It turns out Tony was on the money.
My first meeting with Robert was in Chicago when we were both students for the priesthood, and I attended a conference there. We also played tennis against each other. Robert went from finishing his initial formation in Chicago and came here to Rome and studied canon law here in Rome. He was probably identified at that stage as a future leader of some sort within the order. He takes an appointment to the Chicago province's mission in Peru, in an area called Chulucanas. He goes through the various ranks 24 years ago and was elected here in Rome as Prior General.
Meanwhile, on day 2 of the conclave, excitement is growing in St. Peter's Square as more people gather to look for the smoke.
I come from South Sudan. I'm a seminarian. We have seen that since yesterday the conclave began, and it is moving well because it is already twice and nothing has come out.
I'm very excited to be here and to witness this beautiful spiritual, it's not political, it's something very spiritual that unites us as brothers and sisters. And I look forward to supporting and praying for the new Bishop of Rome.
Well, it's happened. We just saw the white smoke, the bells have rung, the people have cheered. Very shortly, the new pope will come out on the balcony and we will know his name, which we don't know quite yet, and the crowd is very excited.
And suddenly, the Pope appears on the balcony. Pope Leo XIV addresses the crowd and speaks immediately of peace.
Questa è la pace di Cristo risorto, una pace disarmata e una pace disarmante, umile e perseverante. Proviene da Dio.
We've just heard the news. Robert Prevost, Chicago-born, American, but also a Peruvian citizen. He worked in Peru, he's worked in Rome, he was in charge of the dicastery of bishops. He's an Augustinian. I went to an Augustinian school, and I actually met him 30 years ago when he was in Australia. He is a Francis man. He is exactly the sort of ally Francis wanted to work with and brought to work with him here in Rome. So he has taken the name Leo XIV, echoing Leo XIII, the great reformer of the church and social teaching at the end of the 19th century, and also Pope Leo the Great. We have a pope.
Very excited. Kind of feels like we're part of history today.
He really brought across an emphasis about unity, continuing something of the synodality process, building bridges, and he had a strong message about peace in the church and peace in the world.
I think the Pope will have a big world impact on the rest of the world and can be a good voice of influence, especially in the United States. And I think it's something we greatly need right now.
And for Tony Banks, it's exactly the news he hoped for. His friend of 44 years will now lead the world's 1.4 billion Catholics.
Somewhat amazed that the Cardinals agreed with us. That they had seen in Bob what we have always seen in him as a leader. The compassion, the awareness of leadership, and the way that you have to actually bring conciliation to people who are of divergent views.
A couple of people have asked me about what is the Augustinian lifestyle like? What has Pope Leo been living and how did he live it? What sort of experience is your community like?
We are supposed to be contemplatives in action. Our example in being with the people is not simply to be there and to tell them what to do. It's to lead them in prayer and them to be with us.
What's that going to tell us about Pope Leo?
He will look to surround himself with people who reflect, not people who give out initial statements because it sounds good or it's good for the media or good for a particular version of the church, but rather people who reflect deeply about where is the presence of Jesus in these decisions.
Many are hoping 69-year-old Pope Leo XIV will be a unifying figure. Accounts have emerged that American lobbyists circulated information assessing all the cardinals. Another research project was co-founded by Edward Penton, a traditional British Catholic commentator. His group attempted to get it to as many cardinals as possible before the conclave.
He's a Francis-like pope, but I think what I've been saying to people is that he's a pope you could do business with, if you like. Whereas Francis was, if he didn't agree with you, especially if you were coming from the more traditional side, you really had no look in. With the Pope Leo XIV, I think he's going to be somebody who will listen, who will lend his ear to different wings of the church and meet with them. In that sense, he crosses those boundaries. He possibly transcends those factional groups. I mean, that's the hope. We'll see.
So, how did our Australian Cardinal Bychok find his very first conclave?
Actually, during the conclave, I was completely in peace. During the last few days, I spent maybe more time in prayer than before, yes.
What was it like to be cut off from the outside world for the 24 hours?
That was the best time of my life. Just try to turn off your phone at least for 24 hours, or at least my phone was turned off for 2.5 days.
Can you tell us, is it really like the movie or is it different in real life?
No, it wasn't helpful, I think so. Because you should understand the main reason during the conclave to pray, not only to vote, no, it's second, to pray together.
Did you talk about the movie together? No.
Yes, I watched the movie, but actually it was controversial, especially about prayer. Have you seen in this movie that Cardinals prayed? No one time. Which is Hollywood style.
Hollywood aside, what Bychok is really concerned about is achieving lasting peace in Ukraine and the rest of the world. He spoke of this in his first conversation with the new Pope Leo.
Yesterday, when I approached to the Holy Father first time, my message was like this. I assure you, as the Holy Father, in my prayers, I assure you that Australia will pray for your pontificate. Yeah, then I asked that Pope as well should remember Ukraine, should pray for the just peace in Ukraine, for the end of war in Ukraine. That was my message to Pope.
While most reactions to Pope Leo have been positive, allegations have surfaced from sex abuse survivor groups that Pope Leo mishandled abuse cases in both Peru and Chicago. Groups are now calling on him to take a tougher stance on the issue that has long plagued the Catholic Church.
My understanding of the questioning of him on sexual abuse comes from his time as Bishop of Chiclayo. The diocesan officers of Chiclayo have denied that, and the papacy denied that there was an error in what he did, that he actually followed procedures correctly. But I'm not really in a great position to judge. I know from my experience that he will be emphatic on dealing with sexual abuse.
So, what will the Catholic Church look like under its first Peruvian-American Pope? His namesake, Pope Leo XIII, is remembered for his dedication to social justice, defending workers' rights and immigrants. Some argue the Church is extremely divided, and one of his most pressing challenges will be to build a bridge to heal the division between so-called progressives and conservative Catholics. Could it be that Leo XIV represents the antidote to the Trump agenda?
I do have hope, and I have seen God get us out of bigger issues over history and time. You know, there is an argument to say that if the Church still exists, it's because God exists.
I think potentially a very good Pope in the sense that he will exercise his role as pontifex, which means bridge builder, with the Trump administration and with other governments that there may be differences with, and commonalities too.
He's going to be his own man. He'll take from both of those, and he will be a person who listens to those who are able to hear the message of Vatican II through those two voices.